me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine.
Welcome to Greenlight Maine for a winner's mentoring session. Here on Greenlight Maine, we are helping to grow Maine's economy one dream at a time. I'm Don Gooding with MCED, and I'll be moderating this discussion between entrepreneur and mentors, as I often do in my day job. So with us in the studio is Chris McKenzie of Starc Systems, as well as three mentors who are going to help Starc Systems to work through one of the challenging business issues that they're facing. So I'll introduce the mentors in just a few minutes, but first, Chris, congratulations on advancing to the next round of Greenlight Maine.
Thank you, Don. We're delighted.
Yes. Well, I really enjoyed your pitch 6 months ago. Just to refresh our memory, we're going to play that winning pitch now and then come back and get a quick update on the company.
Perfect. Hi, everybody. Starc Systems is an acronym. Simple, telescopic, airtight, reusable containment. Containment in this phrase is the only noun in the whole sentence. The basis behind that noun is containment in our market is a barrier that is used in renovation, restoration, and construction. The way the barriers are necessary is because whenever there's debris and contaminants kicked up with restoration and renovation, you have to protect patients, employees, as well as students, and of course visitors from any type of reconstruction going on. In the market today, there's over $50 million a month of restoration and renovation going on in healthcare throughout the country. Total, there's over $500 million a month in restoration and renovation and healthcare going on throughout the country. The traditional method for containment today is a poly, like a shower curtain, you've seen that around, or it's a temporary sheetrock wall. The name temporary is only temporary in that it's only used for a short period of time. It's the same wall that's in your living room. The contractors build it, they spend hours or days building a temporary wall, and then after the project is done, they tear it down and it becomes non-biodegradable waste. Our owner and inventor, who was perplexed, he owns a major construction firm in northern New England, was always perplexed by the cost and waste of time in addition to the hazardous waste created by creating all this debris and throwing it in the dump. Over 4 years, he brainstormed to come up with a concept, a modular concept, where employees could come in, deploy a wall or a panel very quickly, and mobilize without having to create all the dust and the waste associated with temporary containment. We have come up with Starc Systems, simple telescopic airtight reusable containment systems. It is a panel system. This is a miniaturized version. The employees come in and they just lay one piece down and they elevate it up to the ceiling with a simple tool. They tighten it. It's an Allen wrench, and you can put up 50 feet of wall in less than 30 minutes. It's quiet, it doesn't cause debris, and when it's done, ultimately it doesn't become hazardous waste, it's completely reusable. Our sales at this point, the first 3 months of 2015, exceed full year 2014, and we are on track to exceed forecast of $1 million in our first full year. That being said, we are experiencing a 40% reorder rate. The cumulative IQ of the executive team is very strong. People are going to want to work for us. We're at Tech Place at Brunswick Naval Air Station, and we can grow as fast as we need to grow for manufacturing purposes as well. That's it.
Well, Chris, you managed to put a lot in there, and I know a lot goes on in the early days of a company. What's been going on last 6 months?
Thank you for asking, Don. It's been pretty exciting for us. Not only are sales continuing to climb, we have since, you heard me mention earlier that we have a 40% reorder rate. For a new company, that's phenomenal. Well, the good news is we're up to 70% reorder rate at this point.
That really is phenomenal.
Right, and we've since been asked by a very well-known distributor in Kansas City who has national and international reach to carry the line as well. So they've since come on board.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Well, so now it's time to introduce the mentors, but with an exciting twist, because we know that great ideas can come from anyone, right? It's not about the credentials, it's about creativity. So I'm just going to introduce them by their first name. And so you won't know until the end of the show whether or not they're a potential customer or a highly creative artist. So we have here Greg. Great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Don.
I hope you're ready to ask some great questions of Chris over here.
Oh, definitely. Very excited to be here today.
Thank you.
Excellent. And in the middle, we have Amy. Welcome to Greenlight Maine.
Thank you, Don. Thank you very much.
Yes, and I hope you are also ready to help Starc Systems to figure out how they can grow more.
I think so. I've got some good questions.
Okay, and then finally at the end, we have Carl. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Don.
Yes, so I'm also hoping that you will be able to bring all of your experiences to help this young company grow here in Maine.
We'll work the bugs out and make it successful.
Absolutely. Okay, well, there we have it. We have a winning entrepreneur. We have 3 anonymous mentors who are all ready and willing to dig into a business challenge. And we'll be back after a short break to talk about that real business growth challenge here on Greenlight Maine. All right.
Please visit greenlightmaine.com to follow the progress of your favorite entrepreneurs and find information and resources about becoming an entrepreneur yourself.
I'm John Leonard, President and CEO of the MEMIC Group, Maine's largest and leading workers' compensation insurance company. We're proud to help employers and employees work together to improve workplace safety and reduce costs. That's been our focus for 22 years, and it has paid off, reducing workplace injuries by about 40% while cutting the cost of workers' compensation insurance in half.
MEMIC, proud sponsor of Greenlight Maine, growing Maine one dream at a time.
It doesn't take much to change your entire travel experience. It's more than a flight, it's the whole trip. Connect to your world with daily non-stop flights to Atlanta, Detroit, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Baltimore, Charlotte, and New York City. Portland International Jetport. Way better.
Please join us to find vital information on our website at greenlightmaine.com and be a part of our vibrant community on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Together, we're building Maine's future, one dream at a time.
We're back at Greenlight Maine with a winning entrepreneur and 3 anonymous mentors who are all ready to dig into a real challenge to growth. So, Chris, you've had obviously some good successes in your first year or so of business.
Correct.
What challenge would you like to talk about today?
I'd be delighted to bring up the fact that we've kind of created a new market that we didn't foresee. When we sell the product now, it's a one-time transaction. Ultimately, though, many of our customers are turning around and renting the product out to their customers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so what we're missing out on is that recurring revenue opportunity. What we'd like to know is maybe what is the best way for us to participate in that? Sell to rental companies, rent it ourselves, or maybe begin to franchise the line.
Interesting. High-quality problem. Greg?
Very much. First question that I guess I have is, do you see, from a profit perspective, do you see the fact of the rental market being a stronger sales for you in the future?
That's a great question. Not stronger, but it's certainly a good complement. Many people are going to want to try before they buy it.
Interesting.
So.
Amy?
Well, and that's a good point too, Greg. My question to you, Chris, would be, what do you want to be? Do you want to be a manufacturer or do you want to be a rental agency?
Fair question. We're certainly going to be a manufacturer. We can't let the main thing stop being the main thing, and that is to make panels and get it out in the marketplace. But what we are watching is people making money off of this after they purchase the product, and how do we participate in that opportunity?
Thank you.
Carl?
Have you considered the logistical hurdles that would go along with going into a renting operation? You're talking about facilities. It's an entirely different type of business than pure manufacturing and direct sales.
It is. The logistics are a challenge. And that's certainly why we haven't taken it on yet. So we understand the fact that it could surely interfere with our strict logistics of building and shipping product right now. But on the back end, again, we don't want to miss out on this new opportunity we've created in the marketplace with our new innovation.
Interesting. Greg, back to you.
Yeah, that's actually, I think, what I was going to say is the fact that you're an entrepreneurial company, and you had a great idea, and now, you don't want to see others capitalize on that. So, you know, I do go back to, it's kind of following up with what Carl was talking about. I mean, there's got to be an additional expense to your company too in this rental market.
Yeah, and probably on the financing side because you need to own it. And so how well capitalized is your company?
Yeah, well, that's the challenge. We don't have the wherewithal at this point. Every panel we manufacture right now is already committed to. It's bought. So we don't really have the discipline or the wherewithal to stop that revenue stream and set aside 1,000 feet for rental, quite frankly. We want to ship it out the door and get the revenue that's coming out of that right now.
Amy?
So if you do look to sell to a rental agency, you'd get that big return up front.
True.
And then when you think about what the reoccurring would be, there would be, you know, panels would break, things would get lost, you'd need to do maintenance, and then those rental agencies would get more and more customers. So that seems to be a good fit to sell to a rental agency rather than becoming one yourself.
That's fair.
Interesting, yeah, because it is a different set of skills as you were talking about. Carl, more questions?
Sure. I believe in sticking with what you know, and you're still learning and developing knowledge on the manufacturing side. You're still developing the market. I'm not so sure that working through rental agencies would be a bad way to go initially. You're still promulgating your product. It still will come back to you on sales. Have you given that some thought?
Absolutely, we have. And we still have to, we're never going to stop the field demand creation of the product. We still have to create awareness. It's such a new technology and a new concept. You're not only selling a product, but you're changing behavior at the street level as well. So the sales process is a little more sophisticated than it looks like on the surface. So you're absolutely right. Demand creation and product awareness is very, very vital. And we're the ones responsible for that. The rental agencies won't do that.
And I'm going to be able to ask a question now. So you pose the question as if it's an either or, but in fact you can potentially do a few of all of the above, because you could carve out the world in terms of here's where we're going to be doing rentals ourselves, and then we'll open it up to other partners in the rest of the world. Have you gone through that set of logic?
Yeah, we have, and to your point earlier, we want anyone in the supply chain to be profitable. We do not discourage that because that'll create demand for the product, obviously. On the other hand, we do see these panels paying for themselves, you know, and start to become profitable as a rental product after only about 3 or 4 months on the job site. So that's kind of appealing to us a little bit.
Interesting. More questions, Greg?
I guess my questions come back to the fact of, you know, as these are used over and over again, you know, there must be some, you know, the product itself will start to diminish in its value at some point in time, or the usefulness of it, so to speak. How would you control that? Especially if you're renting it yourself, you're going to have better control. If you're using a rental agency, you're going to have more liability
That's a good
concerns.
point, and that's one of the concerns that we're worried about, because many people are going to be using it for the first time, and it really, we want it to have its best presentation possible. So we certainly have the wherewithal to buff and repair and maintain any of the panels as they exist. So when they get out in the marketplace, they look shiny and new.
Yeah.
A rental option may not feel the same way about the brand.
Interesting. So even some degree of control over who's renting it and under what conditions may be something you have to be looking at to make sure your brand stays strong out there.
Well, there's an affectionate term we're using in the building called scaffolding model. If you've ever rented scaffolding or see contractors, they have scaffolding teams come in, mount the scaffolding, and leave the place. So we're kind of looking along those lines as well, having setup teams.
Interesting. Well, there have been lots of questions here, and now it's time for our mentors to share some initial thoughts on where you might go with this question. So, Greg, you get the first crack at it.
Yeah, I guess if I was given the choice today and it was my company, I would sit there and say, you know, from a control standpoint, from a liability standpoint, I would want to make sure this is my baby, and I would want to make sure if I was doing the rental, I think I would want to be more in control of that. Or I would work with a rental partner that I know that we have a very close relationship with, that I know that the quality is going to be there.
Okay. Amy.
And even where you said that what's happening is you're selling to your clients and then they're renting it, you've lost control at that point. You don't know what your product looks like when it's moved on to another vendor. So I think to get partnerships with rental agencies that are large enough and that you've got a good connection with to ensure that your product always looks as good as you want it to.
And Carl, final thoughts.
Construction trade groups, architects, if you can get architects to specify this, I think that would be helping. Work on your end user, try to find a large scale person who would buy this and then demonstrate that, and you can put that in your brochures. Focus on issues of customization to specific areas. Durability, demo is a very difficult environment in which to work. How is it cost competitive to the traditional methods? Construction tends to not change very quickly. Deal with odor control, dust control, and sound attenuation.
Yeah.
Those are the sort of things you should focus on.
Lots of ideas. Well, that's awesome. We've heard from our anonymous mentors, and we'd welcome your thoughts about how to address this challenge. Feel free to post your thoughts on Twitter at #GreenlightMaine or on our Facebook page. We'll be back after a break with our entrepreneurs' reaction to these ideas here on Greenlight Maine.
We help businesses increase sales. We help increase sales by providing business owners, chief executives, and marketing managers with effective advertising strategies and marketing campaigns. We help businesses increase sales by providing practical advice and tactical plans that are meaningful and measurable. We can help your business increase sales. Find out how at SutherlandWeston.com.
Hi, Ross here for DYSART'S Restaurant. Everyone's having meetings, meeting about this, meetings about that, meeting about meetings. How ridiculous is that? Got a meeting? Meet at DYSART'S Broadway. Look at my chart. DYSART'S Broadway's got 3 meeting rooms. A big one, a bigger one, and an even bigger one. And the big one and the bigger one can combine to be even bigger than the even bigger one. How ridiculous is that?
Great food, great service, and a great place for your meeting. DYSART'S Broadway.
Big and bigger's bigger than even bigger.
DYSART'S.com.
Ridiculous.
I'm not thinking about health insurance all the time, but when I do, I know that Community Health Options is there for us. Whether we're getting a checkup, a test at the lab, or we're in the hospital, Community Health Options is there every step of the way. They'll help you get the most of your prescription benefits and manage any ongoing conditions, so you can think about other things.
Member-centered Community Health Options. Sign up or re-enroll for 2016 at healthoptions.org.
If any of you in our television audience has a big idea, we encourage you to visit greenlightmaine.com for a list of resources and information about starting your own business.
Welcome back to Greenlight Maine. We've heard about our Entrepreneurs Challenge, and we've heard some ideas from our panel of anonymous mentors. So, Chris, you got to choose one of these to get in a little bit more in depth for the remaining conversation here.
Wow, there were so many great points.
Yes.
Machine gun, but I will address the components about the supply chain economics and downstream economics. It certainly is appealing to us that anyone who buys our product will profit from it, whether it be as a useful tool so they can show their customers and or of course they want to buy and resell it. We don't have a problem with that. The key is we're seeing a lot, my concern is a one-time sale versus a multiple sale with the same customer.
Yeah, so making sure that, that your units aren't working against you out there in the marketplace.
It's a good point, yes.
Yeah, interesting. Some more thoughts about how to manage that? Because we've heard some ideas. Some thoughts?
So you just said that you would be okay with a customer selling your panels to somebody else?
Well, in essence, what I mentioned is the economics of the product. People make money when they buy our product, or they save money. So the value of our product resonates out in the marketplace. So that's going to create more demand. Not only the functionality and the looks, but the economics. It's good for our product to be of good value to the customer and or the end user.
Chris, you mentioned earlier the scaffolding model. And I think what you were referring to is the fact that the end user of your product can either buy it and store it, or when they need it, they can rent it. And it's really going to depend on the volume of their need for your product.
Correct.
You need to be able to appeal to both ends. You need to be able to appeal to the rental yards and sell to them. And you need to also be able to direct sell to the large-scale customers.
That's absolutely right.
Yep.
You're right on.
Interesting. And is there any way that in your contract with people you're selling to, you can exert some degree of control over how they use it to make sure that it doesn't go out there, for example, when it's no longer safe to use?
It's going to be 100% recyclable. So that's one of the selling features about it as well, the green component that was mentioned earlier. But beyond that, once they own it, it's their property. I do spend time use in maintenance and training, so they do have proper use, both from a safety standpoint and a customer satisfaction standpoint.
Yeah, I think that's, a great point is the fact that, your product is designed that once it has multiple uses, that it's benefiting the customer.
Exactly.
And if that becomes the multiple uses are they use it 2 times, but then they rent it out to somebody for 6 times, then it's kind of going against, I think, the original model that you were thinking about too. And you know, and it's not putting that many units out in the marketplace.
A little bit, yeah. But at this point, at this stage in our career and the market, nobody else makes one of these things. So anybody who can use it and see it, we're fine with.
Well, that's great. So it's now time to reveal the identity of our anonymous mentors. So, Greg?
My name is Greg Jameson. I'm Senior Vice President of Underwriting for MEMIC. And MEMIC is a workers' compensation specialist insurance company. We're located, our home office is in Portland, Maine, and we have offices that range all the way from up here in the Northeast all the way down to Florida.
And you've also been a great supporter of the Greenlight Maine series as a sponsor, so thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Amy?
My name is Amy Kenny, and I'm the Director of Communications and Public Relations and Public Affairs for St. Joseph Healthcare here in Bangor. And one of my sister properties actually used your product, St. Mary's in Lewiston.
That's right, they are. Very good customer.
So as a healthcare organization, it's a product that would lend itself nicely to my industry.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you.
And Carl?
My name is Carl Ward. I am past adjunct professor of construction management and engineering at the University of Maine of Orono. I also serve as a state representative of Maine House District 131, but what keeps me busy most of the time is I'm president and CEO of Nickerson & O'Day, one of the largest commercial building contractors in the state of Maine. We've built most of this campus, and in fact, 15 years ago, I myself was the project manager in this very building.
Very cool. It's great how things kind of come around. Well, that's awesome. So now that we know the identities of our 3 mentors, it's time for a short break, and we'll be back for some final thoughts here on Greenlight Maine.
As a leader in Maine and New England in providing integrated accounting, consulting, and tax services to clients large and small, the team at MacPage has proven to provide innovative solutions to help us better meet our clients' needs. We enjoy the people we serve and care about the work we do. The success of our business is based upon our ability to develop quality relationships, one client at a time. MacPage. Accessible, approachable, accountable.
I'm John Leonard, President and CEO of the MEMIC Group, Maine's largest and leading workers' compensation insurance company. We're proud to help employers and employees work together to improve workplace safety and reduce costs. That's been our focus for 22 years, and it has paid off, reducing workplace injuries by about 40% while cutting the cost of workers' compensation insurance in half.
MEMIC, proud sponsor of Greenlight Maine, growing Maine one dream at a time. Please visit greenlightmaine.com to follow the progress of your favorite entrepreneurs and find information and resources about becoming an entrepreneur yourself.
We're back for some final thoughts here on Greenlight Maine, and I want to start by thanking the 3 mentors who have come on the show, because mentors are so important for the growth of companies. So with that, some final thoughts from our 3 mentors. Greg?
Thank you. Well, now that we've revealed who we are, I'd like to thank you because you are one of our policyholders at MEMIC. So I do want to thank you for that. And knowing that I have an insurance background, the whole rental piece, I just would like to say, control your product, make sure that you know, I mean, you do a lot of wonderful things. You have a great product. And to make sure that it lives up to all the expectations that you have of it, you know, that's best if controlled by you.
Good point.
Great. Amy?
So healthcare and marketing, that's me. And what your product is fabulous for is to be able to close off an area that would normally be an eyesore, to contain the debris, to enhance the appearance. So it almost allows for a clean slate to put a billboard on. There's a lot of opportunity in healthcare.
Great. Carl?
I'm intrigued by the rent versus sell. I think you need to do both. There's definitely a market there. There's going to be parts of the market you aren't going to be competitive in, but work on your unit cost and work on edging into that market. Particularly go to clean room environments, laboratory environments, healthcare environments, and work on the facilities management team so that they instruct their architects to put your product in their specifications and make it mandatory.
Amazing advice. Chris, any major single takeaway from all of these numerous ideas?
Well, all three are brilliant and correct. I think essentially what I get the flavor is we need to keep doing what we're doing. And I think we get support from all three of you on that.
Yes, well, that's great. And I'm sure that as you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to continue to have great success. And so all of the Greenlight Maine community would like to wish you well on that, as well as wish you well in the next stage of the Greenlight Maine competition.
We're looking forward to it.
Yes, so speaking of that, watch our Facebook page and greenlightmaine.com for announcements about the next stage of the competition. So we're going to have a live event to narrow down our 13 competitors to 2, followed by the final 2 weeks of our online competition where you can pick a wild card from any of the 26 companies that have been on the show. And finally, a televised championship event where one of those companies will walk away with $100,000. We'll also let you know when we start accepting video pitches for next year's competition. And remember, if you want to start your own business, greenlightmaine.com has lots of resources for you. So keep thinking big and keep the positive feedback coming, especially for the companies that you see on the show, because together, the Greenlight Maine community is helping to grow Maine's economy, one dream at a time.
Greenlight Maine has been brought to you by MEMIC, your partners for workplace safety. Greenlight Maine would not be possible without the support of all of our corporate sponsors. Thank you. Prize money for Greenlight Maine provided by Maine Accelerates Growth through a grant by the Maine Community Foundation. Outreach and community engagement in partnership with Maine Startup and Create Week. Furniture for Greenlight Maine provided by Thomas Mosier. Handmade carpets for Greenlight Maine provided by Mougalian RUGS. Broadcast facilities provided by the New England School of Communications at Husson University.
Give me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine. Give me that green light. Give me that green light, Maine.
Greenlight Maine has been a paid-for presentation by the Portland Media Group.